Hello and welcome to One Man's Opinion. Today I am reviewing the Broadway revival of Henrik Ibsen's An Enemy of the People, newly revised by Amy Herzog, directed by Sam Gold, and currently running at Circle in the Square at 1633 Broadway in New York City. Now don't be an enemy of the show, be a friend, and show your support by being a patron on Patreon, where you can, for as little as $1 a month, support my work here and my podcast, Yesterday's Matinee. Coming soon to the Patreon page will be reviews of shows that I have done back when I was writing for print media, as well as interviews, including interviews with Kristen Chenoweth, John Leguizamo, Terrence Mann, and more. A link will be in the description. An Enemy of the People is one of the most important plays of modern theater. Its themes of standing up against insurmountable opposition for what is right resonates through the decades like a clarion calling for all who have any righteous cause to never give up even when all is lost. Time and history will be the judge and jury of what transpires. In that regard, this production of An Enemy of the People still shines, but a bizarre second act set choice and some uneven acting limits the play's full potential. There are also some revisions made by Herzog that may land as either good or bad, depending on how you feel about it. Set in late 19th century Norway, Dr. Thomas Stockmann, played by Jeremy Strong, has discovered that the water that is being used at a health spa that he and his brother Mayor Peter Stockmann, played by Mikaal Imperioli, is contaminated from the runoff by the tannery that's upstream, causing a potential serious health crisis where visitors may contract and die from typhoid. Though Thomas receives initial support from locals about his discovery, especially the local newspaper, things quickly turn when Peter points out that shutting down the spa to redirect the water flow would take years of labor and cause a tax hike that would destitute the town's economy. Thomas becomes the lone voice of reason as he values life over wealth. With recent scientific health issues heavily affecting our country and the world, like the Flint, Michigan water crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic, An Enemy of the People is as relevant today as it was in 1883 when it first premiered. Now, in comparing Herzog's adaptation, I am going to compare it to the original Ibsen. There have been many adaptations, but I think just focusing on the original is the best way to go about it. Herzog's adaptation truncates the cast. Gone is Thomas's wife, Catherine, and he only has one son instead of two, with the one son being delegated off stage, so we never see him. The only onstage family member left, aside from Peter, is his daughter Petra, played by Victoria Pedretti. The way I see it, an audience familiar with the play will feel one of two ways about this, and I think either way is fair. One, it helps isolate Thomas more with fewer allies, leaving Petra as the only person who stands by him when things really start to decline. The other way of feeling about it is that it diminishes the family dynamic for Thomas, not having his wife there. It also lowers the stakes for him regarding the public discord against him. He only must worry about 2 children instead of a wife and 3 kids. So if you want less domestic drama, focusing more on the political side of the story, you may prefer this version. But if you like the family dynamics that are in the original version of the play, then this may be a bit of a disappointment. Being set in Circle in the Square, Sam Gold and Scenic Design team Dots have created an intimate setting with the audience completely in the round, unlike most of the shows there I've seen, which have really been 3/4 stage, not a true circle and around. I do suggest avoid sitting in the orchestra 200 even side of the house, which would be, if you're entering the theater, the house right side. There's a stovepipe that runs from the floor to the ceiling that obstructs some of the action if you're sitting in this section. So that's orchestra 200, 202, 204, 206, those seats. But that's really not the oddity of the stage design. It was in the middle act of the play during the public hearing that had me chuckle at the audacity of the show's producers by going full out with a bar coming down from the rafters with Liney Aquavit emblazoned across it. And I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It's either Liney Aquavit or Liney Aquavit. It's spelled L-I-N-I-E. Aquavit is a Scandinavian liquor company, and during the pause between Act 1 and Act 2, it's really an intermission, but they call it a pause, but whatever. Shots of their product are given freely to the audience, and bottles are sold. And I get it. Aquavit is a sponsor for the show, and they're Scandinavian, the place set in Norway. To a degree, it makes sense, but come on. It's gratuitous on a Wayne's World level of comical. Plus, its modern design of the bar completely clashes with the 19th century setting the rest of the play embraces. If this is the direction of theater, where we put advertisers in a show, please do it in a way where it doesn't detract from the setting. The cast is decent, but not amazing. I do like Jeremy Strong's degree of stoicism that Thomas starts off with at the top of the show, and I like how he has it slowly fracture as his passion for saving people's lives take over. It's a meticulous journey that is satisfying to see. Thomas J. Ryan's turn as Aslaksen, the publisher of the People's Messenger, is probably the most satisfying performance of the night, as he gives a measured performance, speaking with exacting purpose with the occasional bit of sarcastic humor. Unfortunately, Mikaal Imperioli has a confounding stylized performance that feels more posturing than acting. This is his Broadway debut, so maybe his acting instincts are coming from his camera acting versus acting on stage. And this is a thing. Acting in front of a camera and acting on stage are two completely different styles of acting, and if you haven't done one in a while, it may have adverse effects. Now, what's worse is that most of the rest of the cast's performances are pulled down when acting opposite Imperioli, where they start reacting with similar peculiar eccentricities, and everything becomes a little shticky. It's weird, and I don't like it. Still, An Enemy of the People is a play that demands attention. The production has some problems, and if you're familiar with the play, your reaction to it may depend on your preferences to the story and what previous adaptations you may be familiar with. Newcomers may be thrown off by some of the anachronisms in its design, and also by Herzog's language, which can sometimes feel a little too modern, but that doesn't bother me. I'm fine with that. Still, the story should still have the impact that it has for nearly a century and a half. I would never say don't go see An Enemy of the People. It's a must-see play, especially if you've never seen it before. But this isn't a production that really moved me or floored me in any way. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see An Enemy of the People, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. Also in the description will be a link to my Patreon page, so be sure to visit that as well. You can also support my channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and click the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be the new Broadway musical, The Notebook. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you at the theater.